up YouTube? In this short video, less than 15 minutes, we'll see how to install and set up your first React Native project. If this video works for you, please like, subscribe, and comment in the comment section below. React Native involves visiting a number of websites. There's React Native website itself, the Node.js website, Chocolatey, and even Android Studio. So I put together a simple guide on the left, as you can see, which should simplify this workflow, make it easy for you to set up the environment all the way down until you have your first React Native project running. So let's begin with step 1, which is to install Android Studio. Just visit the Android Studio website, download the latest version of Android Studio, and install it. So let's allow it to download and install. We're using the Ladybug edition. So our Android Studio has installed, has downloaded, make sure you install it. And after installing, the next step is to start it and move on to install the SDKs and the SDK platform tools. So we've finished downloading, and these are the tools. There's an emulator, there are platform tools and SDK managers. So let's accept and install these additional components, allow them time to download. Once they've finished downloading and installing, the next thing to do is to go to the SDK manager, still in Android Studio, and make sure that you have additional components, including the tools. You can include the SDK build tools 36, command line tools, and other additional components like the Intel x86 emulator accelerator. Download, allow them to download and install. All these are necessary components for the React Native environment setup. So once we've installed those, the next thing is to install the virtual device manager, which we already have, medium phone, API level 35. But when we try to start it, we're getting this error of the emulator process has terminated. So to solve this issue, we go to Google and look for Microsoft Visual C Redistributable. We're going to install the version that works for our computer, depending on your PC. So once you install this Visual C Redistributable, it should help solve that issue of the Android emulator. Next, we'll set up environment variables. We go to env under Windows until you're in the environment variables. Set up a new system variable called Android Home. And the path to this variable, the value is right there, but just replace your username with your computer's username. In my case, it's expert. Do that for the system variables and also do that for user variables. Set up the Android Home variable with a path to your Android SDK as shown here. Next, we're going to set up additional variables, the path variables. Copy that and go to double-click path and set up a new path variable. Each of these will be a new path variable on its own. Input those under path variable, new. Okay, that's for the user variables. Do the same for the system variables under path. Just set up new variables, the same variables for platform tools, the variable for tools, and tools bin. Okay, so we've set up path variables. Next, we are going to, next item on our program is to enable scripts in the PowerShell. So type PowerShell under the Windows, run as administrator, and copy the execution policy bypass, which also installs Chocolatey. So we're installing Chocolatey first, but also at the same time setting the execution policy bypass so that we can run scripts. Allow this to install Chocolatey and also bypass limitations in script writing. So once we've done that, the next thing is to install Node.js and the Microsoft OpenJDK 17 using the command choco install Node.js and Microsoft OpenJDK 17. Next, we shall install yarn using the command choco install yarn. Okay, there we go. After installing yarn, accept any license requests or permissions during installation. Once we have yarn installed, we're now going to go to the next step, which is opening the Android emulator and ensuring that it's running. To do this, you might want to install Git. Git allows you to sync other projects that you may have saved on GitHub into your Android Studio. The main purpose of this is to ensure that your Android emulator can run for us to be able to execute our React Native project. So we've installed Git, and I have some programs, so some applications in GitHub. So I've synced the application for the sake of getting my Android emulator to start. I'm starting the Android emulator, and there it is. So once we have the Android emulator running, we're now moving on into the final step, which is to install React Native and start a new project. So we copy npm install -g React Native command line interface, CLI. But before we do that, let's first go up. I want to install this React Native inside the Studio Projects folder. So whichever React Native app I'm going to develop, I want it to be inside the Studio Projects folder. So we will have to first set the execution policy bypass. So we're having a bit of trouble here. So let's copy that command and put it inside PowerShell. You might want to start a new PowerShell window. Let's start a new PowerShell window or a new terminal window. Will it work this time? Okay, it has worked. So we've set up the PowerShell command to enable us bypass the get set execution policy. But let's do this in a new PowerShell window. Run as administrator. Copy the command to allow us run scripts. Since we already have Chocolatey installed, it will not install Chocolatey again, but it will detect that there's a Chocolatey installation already. Okay, so we've enabled running of scripts. Now we can go, we copy this React Native CLI. However, let's put it inside our Studio Projects folder, which is under C, users, my computer is expert, then Studio Projects. So we're going to run this npm install. Once we are installing the npm, then we will go on to set up our new project. So for 98 packages in 32 seconds added. Okay, let's clear screen. Now let's install React Native version 0.76.6. Our project is going to be called ProjectName. And the version of React Native we are installing is version 0.76.6. So we are installing it in the Studio Projects folder. That's where it's getting installed, React Native, with our new project called ProjectName. You can replace project name with any name that you want to name your new project. So to make sure everything is working well, let's run npx react native doctor unrecognized. So if it does that, just close the window and start a new PowerShell window. You have to actually do that inside your project. So the npx react native doctor command is run inside your project. So you have to change directory to your project, and then in this case it's project name, and then run the command npx react native doctor. So we've run it and we're seeing that we need Android SDK version 35. So let's go back to the SDK manager in Android Studio, and we are going to make sure that we have API level 35 under the platforms, but also under the SDK tools. If you can't see 35, check show package details. We have 3501 installed, so we want 3500. Let's install that. React Native Doctor has shown us that we are missing the Android SDK version supported 3500. So still inside our project, let's run React Native Doctor. And now we see everything is checked and everything is okay. Now, next, still inside our project, let's go into the project folder, sub-project folder called Android. So inside your project, which is project name, do cd. Let's first clear screen. Do cd Android, the Android folder inside your project, and then clean the Gradle with that command. Gradle clean. So this will enable us download and install the compatible Gradle version for your project. In this case, it's Gradle 8.10.2. So once we have that, we've done Gradle clean. Gradle clean. Our build is successful. We've installed Gradle. So now we go up one level into our project and run npm start. So we'll do cd ... to go back into our project root folder, and then npm start. So once we've started Metro, allow it to run its course, and then just press A at this point to run on Android, and allow it time to compile. So there you have it. Our first React Native project has been set up. Congratulations. Please like, subscribe, and comment below, and share this video with other beginners who want to set up React Native to develop cross-platform applications.